Well, hi there, everyone. Thanks for stopping by the channel. I've got a really fun recipe for you today. This is just for a treat because every once in a while we all need a treat, right? So this recipe is for, I call it almost instant chocolate pudding because it's very similar to something that you would get in a little box at the grocery store. Only this one tastes better and it has only ingredients in it that you would recognize. So there's that. Such a fun recipe. Stick around to the end and I'll show you how to turn this into a chocolate pie. You'll start with a pint-sized jar. This is going to give you at least 4 servings. It's really rich, so I think more like 5. In the bottom of your jar is going to go some instant milk, and then you need to sweeten it up. I'm using 2/3 of a cup of sugar here, followed by 1/4 cup of the unsweetened cocoa powder. The butter powder and the vanilla powder go in next. The butter powder is going to make it really nice and rich. And you need something to thicken it with, so I'm using cornstarch. Now these next 2 ingredients I learned about from Ina Garten, the barefoot Contessa on Food Network. She says that if you add a little bit of instant coffee to your chocolate, it makes your chocolate taste chocolatier. And then a little pinch of salt helps all the flavors to taste better. Even in sweet things, you need a little bit of salt. And then you'll need to keep some chocolate chips separate. So I put them in a little baggie and put them at the top of my jar. I'm using the mini chocolate chips just because that's what I had. You could use any kind of chocolate chip. And this is the jar that you could keep stored on your pantry shelf. And the idea here is it's the equivalent of storing one of those little boxes of pudding mix, right? So whenever you're ready to make it, it's ready for you. Whenever you want to prepare this little treat, you'll get out a medium-sized pan and then set that little baggie of chocolate chips to the side. We're going to add those at the end, and in goes the contents of your jar. You'll need to get a whisk for this recipe. Go ahead and whisk those ingredients and get them nice and combined. And all you have to do is add 2 cups of water, and that's it. Now, if you've ever tried to combine cocoa powder with liquid before, you'll understand that you kind of have to take your time here. It takes a bit before that wants to combine. But eventually it will. And definitely whenever you give it some heat, it will dissolve whenever everything's heated up. You do need to stir this pretty often just because it will tend to stick on you. Especially after that liquid starts to thicken and gets really hot, it will definitely want to stick on the bottom. So you need to whisk this pretty constantly. Once it comes to a boil, you just need to let it boil for about 3 minutes, and that's over medium heat. And like I said, you need to stir it pretty constantly at that point, or else it will stick on you. So after about 3 minutes of the boil and the whisk, you can turn off your heat and take it off the stove. And now you can add those chocolate chips. And because the mixture is so very hot, they really do melt almost immediately. Just stir it for a little while, whisk it in there, make sure it's nice and melted and good and smooth. Now, I do like to add an optional ingredient here, and that's 2 tablespoons of butter. Now, it is optional. You don't have to do it. It's good without it, but I love it. So if you have the butter, go ahead and put it in there. It makes it nice and glossy. That fat gives it extra flavor, and it does improve the texture a little bit. So you'll want to put this into a bowl or something else and refrigerate it. You'll need to cover it and refrigerate it for a few hours until it's completely set and cold. Now here's an optional topping for you. I like to put whipped cream on that chocolate pudding, so I thought I'd show you how to make a strawberry whipped cream. You'll want to take about 1/2 cup of freeze-dried strawberries and powder them completely. You want like no chunks left in there, good and powdered. And then to that blender cup, you can just add about 3/4 of a cup, maybe a cup of heavy cream. I just added as much as I had. I ran out. And then you definitely want to stir this. I forgot to stir it when I was filming, but you definitely want to stir it and then whip it for about 10 seconds. That's all you need. You see how the powder stuck to what became the top there? Anyway, so I got a long spoon and I stirred it in. But yeah, that's all it takes is like 10 seconds in that blender cup to make whipped cream. It's the quickest way to make whipped cream. And you can sweeten that up with just a little bit of powdered sugar. Now you don't have to sweeten it, but I think it needs it. One more blast of the blender and it's completely ready. It's super nice and thick. And I don't know if you can tell or not, because I don't know if my camera really picked this up, but that's a beautiful pale pink color. And it's so tasty. It's really good on this chocolate pudding. So now that it's completely cooled in the refrigerator, it's ready to serve. See how nice and thick it gets? It's completely congealed, just like a pudding mix that you would get at the store would do. Except this one, you know exactly what you put in it. And this is more like the old-fashioned chocolate pudding that my grandma would make. And I just think it's so tasty. I love the texture. I don't think you can tell from my camera, but it's actually a super smooth texture. And it's great with that strawberry whipped cream. I love the dark, rich chocolate color. And the flavor is amazing. So when you put vanilla powder in there, as well as that instant coffee, it just gives you a really nice depth of flavor to that chocolate pudding. And this is something that you could serve to guests. It is really, really good. See how nice and thick it gets? I hope you can tell. It's a really nice chocolate pudding. My kids like this. My husband likes this. I've served this at a dinner party and I put it in these little half-pint jars with the whipped cream on the top. Everybody loved it. It was so good. So here's an option for you. Okay, you can also use that same recipe to make a chocolate pie. Believe it or not. So that same chocolate pudding recipe is used as the filling of the chocolate pie. And then on my channel, I already have a recipe for pie crust mix. You can make that and blind bake it and then fill it with the cold chocolate pudding. And then I also have a recipe up on my channel for meringues. And I just made that meringue and used it as the meringue topping for this chocolate meringue pie. And then I used a creme brulee torch and toasted up the top. So yeah, you can make a chocolate meringue pie from your food stores with my recipes, guys. How about that? I will leave the full recipe in the description box below. I'll also leave my shopping link in case you want to pick up some Thrive Life ingredients. And then I'll put my website down there where you can pick up a copy of my cookbook. That's my ebook that I'm showing you right now. It's got more than 90 recipes in there. It's a great cookbook to have if you are cooking with your freeze-dried food stores. Well, this was a fun video for me to make. I really enjoyed making this, and my family really enjoyed eating it. So hope y'all enjoy it too. Please leave me a comment below and hit the like button if you are enjoying my content. That helps YouTube to know I'm making good videos and they will offer it to other people. All right, guys. God bless you. I hope you have a fantastic day. And until next time, y'all take care and keep thriving.